Hey guys, CryptoDad here again. Thanks for joining me on the Saturday night live stream. Live from Michigan, where you can throw out questions and I'll do my best to get them answered. We'll talk about Bitcoin, we'll talk about the news, we'll talk about altcoins. I'm going to move some crypto around for you guys. And as always, I'll do my very best to get to your questions and see if we can't troubleshoot your problems here live. Well, welcome everybody. Happy birthday, Bitcoin. This is what's known as Genesis Day, January 3rd. 2009 was the first day that Satoshi Nakamoto mined the first block of Bitcoin. I don't think it took him very long. There wasn't much going on at the time. And at that time, the halving reward was 50 Bitcoin. We've come a long way since then. Of course, the halving didn't take place until a little bit later after the Genesis Day. But yes, and the national debt has just passed 38.5 trillion, gazillion, whatever it is. We'll talk about that story. Bitcoin has popped above 90,000 again, so we're going to cover that. And I've got some security stories, a few interesting scams to report, and wanted to get technical a little bit about wallet security and what exactly a hardware wallet is and does, and whether or not it should be open source or closed source. That's a trick question in my mind, and I believe in reality there is no such thing as open source hardware. A lot of people will defend that to the very last man, but in reality, there really is no such thing, and we'll talk about why that is. Anyway, I don't want to be on my soapbox too quick in tonight's stream. Let's greet everyone that's here, and it's just a wonderful Saturday afternoon here it's evening, and let's see, where are we here? Let's go over to this and say hello to everyone that's here. Andreas was here early, but had to leave. But that's fine. I'm glad you're here, and hello to you. You'll probably be watching this the day after. Kenny is here. Happy New Year, Kenny. Goofy Dude is here. Happy New Year. Everyone's wishing everyone else here and me a Happy New Year, and I wish Happy New Year to all of you. I told you last week that I wasn't going to wish you Happy New Year until next week, and so here we are. Let's see. Simona Mooland is here. Mr. Miskey. Wayne Tyler is here. Hello, hello, hello. E. Poston from Colorado. Gregory Whelan. Christopher Tane. Will Q24. I'm trying to recognize some of these handles here. Marv6933. Hello. HR by Catherine. Gunbroker11. Happy Saturday to you. Let's see. Fred McIntyre is here. Smash that like. Thank you, Fred. Amsterdam, Holland, and I think I already said hello to Fred. So that's cool. If you guys have never been in my stream before, I've got everything formatted here for you. There's a little short overview of what we're going to talk about. Some year-end stuff. We'll go over some of the most interesting or the most active blockchains of 2025. That's an interesting story. So we're going to cover that. And a couple other things here. There's CryptoDad deals to be had. If you go to my personalized landing page, which, let's see, I've got that here. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, they fixed it for me. You remember last week, it was still saying $70. So they've tightened that up. Oh, this is the Gen 5. They've revamped the page completely. They're featuring the Gen 5. That is the most affordable touchscreen. That is the evolution of the Ledger Nano line to be a touchscreen. So great deal, $179. You can get $10 Bitcoin rebate back on that. Ledger Flex and Ledger Stacks, of course, if you want more bells and whistles. Really has nothing to do with security, unless you count security on the line, or I can't think of the word for it, spectrum, there we go, of ease of use. Because I firmly believe that the more ease of use you have, the better your security. Why do I say that? Because a difficult device can cause you to lose crypto because you can't figure it out or you make mistakes. I'm not saying you're going to hit one button and everything's just going to go haywire. That's not how it works. But people that are frustrated and can't figure out how to use their device either just give up or they make a mistake and lose crypto. So that spectrum of ease of use does contribute to security overall, right? If we count security as not losing crypto, right? We can be super secure, but if it's so hard to use, then we might make a mistake or we might not use it at all, and we might just throw up our hands and use a less secure solution. So ease of use is great. So more bells and whistles, bigger screens, which contribute to ease of use. Let's see, we've got the Ledger Nano X is down at 99. That is going to be its price until its end of life, according to Ledger. They've lowered the price of the Ledger Nano X from 150, or was 149. Now it's going to be 99 forever, right? But if you use my landing page, you can still get a $10 rebate. Also on the Ledger Nano S Plus, you can get a $10 Bitcoin rebate. And that's great because of $59 to get into self-custody and hardware security is a great entry-level price. Let's see what else we got. We got that brand new Trezor Safe 7, which is Trezor's coolest device ever. Really love the Trezor Safe 7. It's an awesome little device. I don't know what they're doing. Looks like they're giving you the screen protector for free. It's $249, same price as the Ledger Flex. That's a great product. And what's Tangem doing this week? Let's see what they got here. From what I understand, and let me see, they told me this the other day. Let's see. I think maybe they've got, well, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Oh yeah, that's it. The year-end self-custody. Yeah, so that's it. You're still getting, what is it? $10 Bitcoin, extra 10% off till January 18th. Okay. And they told me that with my checkout code, you're going to get more on top of that. So they're giving the Tangem Ring at a discount, and they're giving the card sets at discounts, right? Is that how it works? Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's it. And they're throwing in the $10 Bitcoin rebate, which is really easy to get with Tangem. Pretty cool. Anywho, so yeah, I covered all that. And then, of course, stamp seed. You want to get a stamp seed. Yeah, you got to have a stamp seed. For writing down your seed phrase on metal, right? You're etching it into the metal. So more durable than paper, which fades, burns, peels, tears, not waterproof, not fireproof. Yeah, you want something like the stamp seed for your precious seed phrase, which is really the heart of your crypto self-custody. Let's see. You got other wallets here. You might want to check out some of these other wallets and the Ledger Recovery Key. We've got the news stories linked down below in sections here. We got the market stuff that we'll talk about, wallet security, and some scams that I uncovered on Reddit. And in my email, I got an email too. I'll see if I can find that. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the news, guys. Once again, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Bitcoin, let's see, here we are. Yeah, Bitcoin price, 90K breakout, hangs in the balance as U.S. storms Venezuela. Well, I think they should add a little ED to the end of that because the storming is now over, right? They stormed it, and they've arrested and taken the president into custody along with his wife, and he's on his way to New York, so I heard. So Trump says. That happened and was announced earlier, like this story broke 12 hours ago. I think Bitcoin is still over 90,000. So Bitcoin didn't flinch in the face of geopolitical tensions, so to speak. It was so quick, and we're at 90,471. So Bitcoin has weathered that geopolitical storm. We get these geopolitical shocks more often than not. So the markets are tending to shrug their shoulders these days to this kind of stuff. Of course, he did it on a Saturday when the markets were closed. It's funny how that works, but yeah. Bitcoin dropped below 90. Well, it did drop below, but now it's up. Bitcoin attempts to hold recent gains. Bitcoin faces geopolitical pressure. Trump announced the successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, and now he's on his way to New York. Not Trump, but Marudo. Yeah, so, and of course they talk a little bit about the markets being closed for all this. But here's a story. I gathered these yesterday. Bitcoin bulls charge at 90K as traders eye CME gap for BTC price dip. Bitcoin faced familiar 90,000 BTC price resistance into this year's first Wall Street open as gold made a comeback from local lows. So tomorrow night is where the rubber meets the road. That's 6 p.m., I believe, tomorrow night when futures open. The market futures, I don't know, maybe gold futures too. Not much going on over the holidays, but Sunday night is where it all starts getting back into the swing of things, right? And of course, Monday morning when the markets, the markets in New York reopen. Bitcoin trades 24/7, but the real action takes place when, there's people buying and selling ETFs, which they can only do during trading hours. So we'll see what happens with all that and what happens to Bitcoin tomorrow night and early into Monday. It'll be interesting, guys. It's going to be an interesting week. We might see a drop-off. We might see Bitcoin, heading up to the 95,000 mark. We'll see. The breakthrough is what we're all waiting to see. Could be a CME gap for the messy week, the first week of 2026, the first trading week of 2026. So we'll all keep an eye on that. This is another story. Bitcoin pushes above 90,000 as traders eye change in pattern. Particularly hard hit in 2025's final sessions, crypto-related stocks are bouncing in this year's first trading day. There we go. It's a notable change in trend as crypto prices late in 2025 were typically on the defensive while American stocks traded. Strategy, Coinbase, Hut 8, Galaxy Digital were among the crypto-related stocks seeing strong gains. Last year in crypto will be remembered for many things, but one notable trend, particularly late in the year, was the sell-off that occurred nearly every day during U.S. trading hours. It's not much to go on just yet, but on 2026's first official trading day, which I guess was Friday, a change could be afoot as crypto prices are actually rising while American markets are open. Yeah, so technically Friday was the first day of trading because New Year's Day was on a Thursday, and so Friday the markets were open, but very thin activity on a day like that. A lot of people are still on vacation. Assets in general on the rise in the year's first session, with the Nasdaq higher by 0.6, led by AI-related chip makers like NVIDIA, Broadcom, Micron, and Intel, posting 3 to 6% gains. So this is mostly about cryptocurrency-related stocks. All right, and here's that big story I was referring to earlier. The U.S. national debt crosses 38.5T. Dusted in Shadow, thank you for gifting a CryptoDad membership to Lord. Lord A got a membership. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. It's very generous of you. As Bitcoiners celebrate Genesis Day, the first block was mined and added to the Bitcoin ledger on January 3rd, 2009 by pseudonymous cryptographer Satoshi Nakamoto. That's a nice little picture there, right? U.S. dollar is swimming in debt, and Bitcoin is on its little life raft, checking it out. Bitcoiners celebrated Genesis Day. U.S. government debt at the time of this writing was 38.5 trillion. Ow. Lie, cheat, steal, and print relentlessly is the playbook of fiat currency, and it weakens the money until confidence in that currency ultimately fails. So here's the U.S. debt clock. Mine the first Genesis block on January 3rd, 2009, as I mentioned earlier. And it included a newspaper headline titled "Chancellor on the Brink of Second Bailout for Banks." So those of you who don't write code or know how code works, this is a bunch of hex code. This reminds me of DOS back in the day. But you can see here that embedded, this hex code here is actually, programming code mostly. And so it really doesn't make much sense in English, right? This is the translation into U.S. or, characters. But if we look down here, this code can be is translated into English over here. Times 3, January 2009, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. Bam. As I was reading that earlier, I was like, hey, maybe Satoshi Nakamoto was English since he's quoting a English news story. Now, of course, that might have been the big story in the New York Times. I don't know. And it really had nothing to do with the U.S. financial crisis. I mean, it was one of the results of it. But I think that because the dates coincide, right? He, instead of using a headline from, November of 2008 when things were just crazy, it used a headline related to the financial crash on January 3rd, 2009. So pretty interesting. And if you've been around Bitcoin a while, you're very familiar with this first block and how it embedded this headline. Pretty interesting. All right, so let's talk about those 5 busiest blockchains of 2025 and what powered their growth. Now, you might think it was Bitcoin or Ethereum, but it was not, right? On-chain data from Nansen showed Solana, BNB Chain, Base, Tron, and Near handled the most transactions in 2025. Interesting. Right? Solana led the pack with 23.01 billion transactions, while BNB Chain followed with 3.8 billion. Wow, Solana just really led the pack. 23 billion as compared to the second one behind was only 3.89 billion, 4 billion compared to 23. Coinbase's Ethereum layer 2 base handled 3.29, not too far behind BNB. As Tron trailed with 3.22 billion, and Near protocol came in 5th with 1.89 billion. Even as 2025 was marked by institutional adoption, retail-focused use cases continued to dominate transaction volumes, particularly on blockchains with low fees and high throughput. So you can settle in stablecoin on Solana. Solana hosts a Solana version of Tether and US dollar coin, as do the BNB chain, Base, and Tron. And I'm assuming Near as well. So stablecoins are really taking over the bulk of transactions on the blockchain. Because that is where real-world transactions are taking place. Bitcoin was originally designed to be a currency that you could spend, but because of the way it's taxed and because of its safe haven status, a lot of people tend to just hold Bitcoin rather than spend it. Whereas a stable coin, you can purchase a stable coin, for X amount of dollars, and it's going to hold that dollar value. Now that we all think in dollars, so stable coins are basically supplanting Bitcoin as the, the transactional elements in cryptocurrencies. And so I would gather to say that is why Solana, BNB, and Base and Tron were at the very top, right? They don't really say what coins. Let's see what they say. Well, a lot of it was on Solana's DEX. A lot of people are still trading meme coins and whatnot. Solana's dominance came on the back of a trading boom that pushed it to the top of DEX ratings in 2025. Solana DEX trading dominated 40% of the industry's market share by recording $293.7 billion in the first quarter, driven by meme coin frenzy. Delama data showed that Solana remained among the top chains by DEX volume. Interesting. Yeah, they don't mention stable coins here, but I know that you can settle stable coins on these chains as well. Okay, well, there we go. That's an interesting story. Who would have thought? What to look for in 2026? What users should know before buying crypto in 2026? Crypto regulations are changing around the world. Several jurisdictions adopt crypto and stablecoin policy frameworks. Crypto laws around the world are changing, building on the momentum of 2025, which will impact crypto users in the US, UK, and Asia-Pacific regions. FDIC, a U.S. banking regulator, published a proposal in December outlining a pathway for banks to be able to issue dollar-pegged stablecoins under the Genesis stablecoin framework passed by Congress in mid-25. Under the proposal, banks must issue stablecoins through a subsidiary, with both institutions subject to FDIC reviews for audits and financial soundness. The U.S. Federal Reserve, the country's central bank, in December rescinded its guidance blocking banks from engaging in crypto activities, paving the way for them to custody customer assets and provide other crypto services in 2026. I've been in self-custody since 2017, and one of the biggest, most often popular questions I receive from people is, how do I cash out my Bitcoin? How do I send my Bitcoin to my bank? And I always tell them, you cannot send Bitcoin to your bank. If you want to cash out, which I think is what the question means, you have to send your Bitcoin to an exchange, swap it for US dollars, and then from your exchange, you can withdraw to your bank, because banks don't accept Bitcoin. Well, looks like that's going to change in 2026. It might be where instead of having to go through Coinbase or Kraken for me to cash out, if I need to cash out Bitcoin or any other crypto, well, I don't know. I think banks are probably only going to be accepting Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum. But let's say I have some Bitcoin in my wallet and I want to cash out. I won't have to go to Coinbase anymore. I can just transfer that Bitcoin right into my Coinbase. Right into my Chase Bank, right? Of course, once it gets into Chase Bank, it's just like the dollars that you have in your bank. A lot of people think that when you put dollars in the bank, that there's like a little box in the bank somewhere that's got your name on it. Like, this is Rex's money. It's not how it works. When you send money, when you deposit money to the bank, that's their money. The only thing that makes it yours is that they have this little promise that they give you that if you go to ask for it, they'll give it back to you, right? But we all know if everybody went to the bank at the same time and asked for their money, the banks would all crash, right? So, and banks use fractional reserve banking rules, which means that they only have to keep about 10% of their reserves on hand at any given time. So you know it's going to be the same with Bitcoin too. So I'm not going to like buy Bitcoin and let my bank hold it, but I probably would take advantage of the fact that I could directly cash out to my bank with my Bitcoin, right? I can say, hey, I'm going to transfer Bitcoin to my Chase account, and then I'm going to turn it into cash so I can, buy something, right? As far as Bitcoin custody goes, I'm going to continue to hold my Bitcoin in my own wallet, self-custody. But that's interesting that banks will soon be able to custody your crypto for you and cash out. And it doesn't make clear here about these stablecoins. Does this mean that Chase is going to come out with the Chase stablecoin? Or does this mean that Chase will issue Tether or US dollar coin based on whatever, right? We don't know how that's going to look. It's going to get really confusing if every bank has their own stablecoin. But so we'll see what happens in 2026. Very interesting year coming up. Happy New Year, everyone. Dan the Man is here. The Fed destroys the value of the dollar, no doubt. Good to have you here tonight, Dan. Let's see. We got not too many questions. A little market chatter, but no burning questions. So let's move over to scams. I know it's in a different order down below in the description, but let's go into scams. I wanted to cover this one last week. People that are new to self-custody, when they see a post or a news story like this, they freak out and they say, is my crypto safe in this Ledger wallet? I'll bet you there's a my Ledger got drained post on Reddit almost every single day. And they're always the same. They're always, hey, I woke up, I checked my wallet, it's empty. I didn't do anything wrong. I wrote down my seed phrase. I never showed it to anybody. They go through this whole list of excuses as to why it's not their fault. But upon talking back and forth, it finally comes out that, they screwed up at some point. I believe this particular poster, we called the person that posted the OP. He's a top 1% poster. That's interesting. Maybe he posted someone else's story. But apparently, if you dig down into the responses, I don't know if I've still got that highlighted. Let's see where it is. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I had it selected at some point, but I've relaunched the browser a few times, so I don't think it's selected anymore. I don't think it is. And I'm not going to be able to find it because it's really buried deep down in there. But the poster admitted that someone that he trusted with his life helped him set up this ledger. And apparently this person figured that $172,000 worth of Bitcoin mattered more than that trust. You're always going to see these stories about people, claiming that their hardware wallet was drained and that it must have been an inside job or his wallet got hacked and all that. Doesn't happen, guys. It just really doesn't happen. There's never been a hardware wallet hack. Not just Ledger. No Trezors. No one has ever remotely hacked a hardware wallet. Now, of course, when we talk about an attacker that has your device, that's a different story. But the main thing that people worry about is, hey, I got this Ledger in my hand. I'm in my house. The doors are locked. The windows are closed. Is someone going to steal my crypto? The answer is no, because your crypto is safe on a hardware device, much safer than on, a hot wallet. By the way, I think last week, and let me see. I don't know that I covered this. Well, we talked about this story. Oh, okay. So I didn't tell you guys about my latest videos this week. I did a video on the Trust Wallet hack and explained how to get reimbursed, which didn't get as many views as I thought. When it comes to, instead of being like the, oh my God, crypto's not safe anymore clickbait, I was like, here's how you get reimbursed. I guess there weren't that many people interested in getting reimbursed, or they'd already figured it out. But yeah, we talked about this last week. But I did want to mention that the Trust Wallet extension is safe to use. It is now been updated, and the update version you cannot view in Trust Wallet. I think, and by the way, we were trying last week to connect my Trust Wallet to my Ledger device, and I never, even after the stream, I tried doing it. And after the stream, I always think, what am I doing wrong during the stream? After the stream, I thought to myself, oh, I know what it was. I had too many other extensions running, because sometimes these wallets interfere with each other. Like MetaMask will interfere with Trust, or if you're on a DEX and you try to connect your wallet to MetaMask, the Rabby interface pops up. So they do interfere with each other, but I tried connecting my hardware device to Trust Wallet, even with a clean browser profile, right? I started a brand new Chrome profile that had no extensions or anything, and I still couldn't get Chrome to recognize, or Trust to recognize, my hardware devices. So I'm done with that. I'm tired of playing around with it. But you can't go, and let's just open this up real quick here so you can see. Oops, I think I got that right. Did I mess it up? No. Okay. So yeah, this is just a hot wallet. But I was looking around in the Trust settings here for the version, but you can't. They don't have the version in the Trust Wallet proper. You have to go to your extensions. So like you hit extensions and then you hit manage extensions, right? That takes you to this page. And you have to be in developer mode, I guess, right? You have to be in developer mode, and then it shows you the version numbers, right? So you can scroll down here to Trust Wallet. And they've even updated it. They updated it today or something, because it was 2.69, which was considered the safe version. The weird version was 2.68, I believe. But yeah, but it still says this extension is not trusted by enhanced safe browsing, whatever that means. Yeah. So I don't know. Trust Wallet, Binance. It's always a little flaky just because it's not. I don't know. It's not U.S. based, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna say any cast shade on them or anything, but foreign programmers are at a disadvantage because Microsoft. If you want to be a programmer and you want to program for Windows or whatever, and you want your applications to run on Windows, you need to get a Microsoft certification. And in order to, if the program's going to launch, it has to have a Microsoft certification. If it doesn't have a Microsoft certification, then it's going to tell you it's dangerous, right? Even though it may not be dangerous, it's just they couldn't afford, or they didn't care to get a Microsoft certification. So the foreign programmers suffer from that a lot. And I will say this, I'm sure this is U.S. programmers do this also, but your high-level programmers, use modular code and modern programming languages. But a lot of foreign programmers, or programmers that, are kind of on the fly, or however you want to think of it, use C and C++, and you can write a lot of spaghetti code. So they're always a little dicey when it comes to, certification. People see this might not be safe, and they immediately think it's some kind of hack. Not always. A lot of times it's just Microsoft is a gatekeeper to, programming people. And, if you can't afford to run out and get yourself a Microsoft certification, your code's going to throw a flag when it launches in Windows. Anyway, I'm kind of off track there. But yeah, I just wanted to follow up on what we were talking about last week. You can use Trust Wallet if you want, but I couldn't get my hardware wallet I couldn't get my Ledger device to sync up with it, even though it claims you can do it. It just sat there and spun. Even after a couple hours of troubleshooting, I'm done working around with it. Let's get back to this. Right, so he got cleaned. His Bitcoin left his wallet, but the point I wanted to focus on here was this little list here, and I've got this story linked down below. There are a lot of ways that you can expose your seed phrase. One of them is leaving it laying around for a friend or family member to find. Another way is to take a picture of it with your phone, because cloud accounts can get hacked, and scammers have malware that will scan cloud accounts for pictures of seed phrases. It's an easy way to steal someone's crypto. You don't need the hardware device. All you need is their backup. But let's go through this list. It's a really good list. Since no Ledger wallet has ever been hacked, and it's always user error, it's mathematically impossible to hack. Let's go through some of the common mistakes. 1. Storing the seeds digitally in a password manager. Yeah, don't use your password manager to store your seed. They'll try to get you to do it, but don't. Taking a photo of the seeds and saving it on a phone or computer. Not a secure way to store your seed phrase. Entering seeds into a website or app. This happens on these scams, and I'm going to go over one of those scams here shortly. Fell for a dusting attack. Well, a dusting attack is where we also talked about this, I think 2 weeks ago, where they send small transactions to your wallet, hoping that you will reuse old transactions in your history instead of properly getting your destination from the destination address from the destination. You just go back and reuse old transactions. And so that's a dusting attack. Family, friends got access to seeds. Know and love your friends, your family, your loved ones. But when it comes to money, you have to be careful who you share your seeds with, right? Confirm seeds with a representative who called saying your security is at risk. I have seen so many people that posted on Reddit, or I had a gentleman that emailed me saying that he got hacked. And going back and forth, I finally said, did someone call you or did you get an email claiming that your wallet was not secure, that it needed an upgrade? And then you ended up typing in your seed phrase. And he was like, oh my gosh, how did you know? That's exactly what happened. I got an email saying my wallet was at risk, and then I followed the link and it asked me to enter my 24-word backup. That's a scam. That's how people lose crypto. Using a pre-seeded Ledger device. That doesn't happen very often, but it's a possibility, right? You could buy it on eBay or used or whatever, and then you open the box. It's already been set up. There's a seed phrase there already, and if you don't really know that much about hardware wallets, you might think that's normal, but I don't think that happens very often, but it is a possibility. Linked to a malicious smart contract, that's a possibility to lose crypto, but probably not in the case of this OP because it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin does not have smart contracts. There are, Bitcoin ordinals and things like that, but I doubt that that's what this guy was messing around with. Connected to a malicious DApp, that's another very common for Ethereum, but not Bitcoin, but could, affect a lot of other cryptos like Solana, Tron, BNB, all those that we were talking about as being the top activity. Fell for a phishing scam. Somebody emails you, texts you, calls you, tells you there's a problem with your wallet, and you believe them, and the next thing you know, you're doing exactly what they tell you to do for your own security, and then the next thing you know, your wallet's empty. Fell for a QR code scam letter in the mail. We've talked about that before. QR code scam letter that looks official, says it's from Ledger. And I get a lot of people that whenever someone posts one of these scam letters from Ledger and everyone's like, how do they get my address? And then all the people come piling in and say, oh, Ledger leaked all their customer data. That's why they have your address. Well, that was 5 years ago. That was 270,000 customers. Ledger has sold 8 million devices. So it's obviously not all coming from this. And, hundreds, thousands, millions of people have bought Ledgers since then. So there are myriad ways that scammers can get a hold of your name and address by hacking all kinds of, forums and chats and marketing lists. And they can use AI to target certain people that, they've already got their personal information hacked. That happens all the time. And then they match databases to figure out that this person is probably a crypto user from stuff they've said or places they've bought. Credit card companies get hacked, and so you can see that what people have bought using their credit cards. And credit card hacks have names and addresses. All you have to do is, you got 100,000 names of people who their credit card information got hacked. Just go through the records and find the ones that purchased from Ledger. So don't blame Ledger for QR code scammers. That's just one of my pet peeves. Connected to a hot wallet, not a cold wallet. Okay, that happened with Ellipal. Ellipal has an app that they use to manage their hardware devices, and that app allowed people to create hot wallets, and many people didn't understand the difference, and one guy got hacked for a bunch of XRP. It turns out he thought it was in his Ellipal wallet, but as it turns out, he had created a hot wallet, and which was susceptible to hacking. Seeds stored in a clipboard on a computer or phone, right? You could have written down your seed phrase and then you cut and pasted it, put it somewhere. Don't type your seed phrase in anything, really. Write it on a piece of paper or store it in metal. Downloaded a fake Ledger website app and input seeds using a keyboard. That's a lot of these malicious links lead to a fake Ledger Live. It looks like Ledger Live, but it runs in a browser, and then they always ask you for your seed phrase. Once they get that seed phrase, they don't need your device. They can just drain your wallet. Someone got a hold of your device. Okay, well, we talked about that. That's why hardware devices need to be tamper-proof, is so that if someone steals your device, they can't just hack your PIN and steal your crypto. Someone that got a hold of your device that knew your PIN. That could happen, right? If you've got someone you trust and you've told someone your PIN, they could steal your device when you're not around and unlock your device to steal your crypto. So that's a great list that we could go. Let's see. I just want to catch up. There's a couple of... so I just have to go to Ledger and reload the app. Thank you so much for helping me. Who said that? My Ledger wallet's not working. Do I need to reload up? Reload up, Cynthia. Happy New Year, Cynthia. You didn't have issues until December. Okay. So I have to go to Ledger and reload the app. Yeah. If your Ledger Live is having issues, the easiest thing to do, like if Ledger Live is not updating or it's not launching properly, the easiest thing you can do is just go to ledger.com and then just download it again, like over here in apps and services. Go to Ledger Wallet and just download it for whatever platform you're on. And let's see, are we in downloads here? Yeah. And then after you've done that, run the installer again. Now, this will solve a lot of problems. Like, you want to make sure that if your Ledger Live is not opening or it's hanging or freezing or whatever your issue is, you'll want to make sure it's completely not running anymore. So if it's hung, right, you should reboot your computer and make sure that everything's, that Ledger Live is not half running or whatever. Or, I mean, if you're savvy, you could go into the, task manager, and just, quit process. But the easiest thing to do is just reboot your computer. After you've done that and you're sure Ledger Live is not running, run the installer again. It will solve all kinds of problems that, like, there's a problem with your preferences, things aren't, are gummed up. I mean, a lot of these Ledger wallet issues have to do with people's computers. Or it has to do with USB connection issues have to do. That's like computer troubleshooting stuff. It doesn't always, you can't always blame the Ledger software or the Ledger device itself. A lot of times it just boils down to, hey, I got to do a little troubleshooting on my computer. Just like, hey, my printer's not printing. That's where you unplug it, plug it back in, maybe unplug a couple of other little USB devices you've got, like your scanner or whatever, to troubleshoot and figure out why your printer isn't printing. It's the same thing with Ledger. Sometimes it just boils down to, troubleshoot your computer. What's going on? How old is your computer? Is it 8 years old? Is it 10 years old? Is the hard drive almost full? Have you ever reinstalled Windows? Or has it been running the same Windows, for 10 years now? Are you still running Windows 8? All that kind of stuff. People will say, hey, Ledger Wallet's not working. But, there's a whole lot of underlying stuff that, I've troubleshooted with people, and it's like, okay, we're going to have to update, your Windows to the latest version, now we got to, there's so many things that I take for granted and that many people do that have to do with just basic troubleshooting, computer troubleshooting. If you reinstall Ledger Live and it's blank, you see nothing, just, start over again, go through the steps it tells you, and make sure you say, oh, my device is already set up, right? Because your device should still be set up, right? Nothing happened to the device. You just couldn't launch your Ledger wallet software. So reconnect the device, enter your PIN, go through the steps in Ledger Live, and then if you end up with Ledger Live and empty accounts, then just go add your accounts again. I've got a lot of great videos on that whole process. Let's see here. The most recent one would be, well, here's one where it's, this is kind of a troubleshooting solution video where you're trying to decide what's the problem, right? Is it your device, or is it Ledger Live? I'll pop that in there down in the chat window. And then, I was going to show you guys that stuff later. Where are we here? No. Oh yeah, here we go. How to add a new device. How to reinstall Ledger Live step by step. This is probably what you're after. It talks about everything you need to do to, reinstall Ledger Live on a brand new computer. So if your old computer is, on the fritz, going through all this would help you immensely, right? So I'll paste that into the stream. Someone's A1 Rising is asking if anyone uses Linux as OS and set up any hardware wallets. I believe there is a version of Ledger Live for Unix. We were just over there, weren't we? You can download the Linux version, which is an app image. Depending on your version of Linux, it's usually pretty straightforward. A lot of times, even in Linux these days, once you download that app image, you just navigate to it in the, the file interface and double click it and it'll like run for you. If depending on the version of Unix that you're using, or Linux that you're using. So yeah, you can run. I think I've done it. I'm not a huge fan of. I like playing around with Linux, and I've installed it and uninstalled it many times. But it's not really a good everyday, all-around working OS for me because I use Adobe and. I do a lot of stuff like even the Chrome in Linux. It acts flaky sometimes when I'm trying to do my YouTube stuff, like upload videos and just like my day-to-day like background stuff that you guys never see. It doesn't work very well in Linux, right? So I use Windows just because it's universal. Say what you will about it, but for me. I don't know. There are a lot of people that do, that work Linux. They do all their work on Linux, but not me. But anyway, yeah, you can run that on Linux. Yeah, so we went through that list. I thought that was a pretty cool list. And then, of course, after a lot of people were asking this guy what happened, he finally brought up the fact that someone helped him set it up and helped him with his seed phrase, and that was most likely why his got cleaned. Now let's go to this scam here. This is a pretty interesting scam. I've never seen this one. I thought it was pretty funny. We're writing to inform you of an update to our platform. This is supposedly from Trezor, right? Beginning today, we are implementing a 0.1% transaction fee that will be donated to support LGBT community organizations worldwide. This fee will be automatically applied to all transactions and will support advocacy, education, and support programs for LGBT communities around the globe. Well, it's a scam because they're only using LGBT. Aren't there like 3 or 4 more letters now these days? So it's like they're just trying to scare people into thinking, oh my God, I don't want to be donating to these people. Or if it's like, I just don't want to be donating to anybody or whatever. So like, no, fix it right now. I'm just going to click this button and turn it off, please. So you click the button and of course it takes you to malicious website where you'll download a malicious version of the Trezor Suite. Or it will look like Trezor Suite in the web page and ask you to enter your seed phrase. They're always the goal is always to trick you into revealing your seed phrase. That's just how it works. But I've never seen this hook before. It's a pretty good hook, right? There's probably one, for leftists, right? That'll be like, yeah, we're going to donate 0.1% to MAGA, and they'll like freak out and click it and lose all their crypto. Yeah. But this is aimed at the more conservative people that don't want to donate to advocacy, education, and support programs for LGBT. Oh, yeah. I've seen it all. Yeah. This is an interesting little thing here. I don't know that I've got that much time to talk. Oh, okay. A1 Rising. Okay, cool. I figured so, but I ordered a laptop that has Zoron Pro and it's great for what I use it for, but wanted to know when it came to hardware wallets. Thanks for answering. You're welcome, A1. As by the way, a lot of Linux distros, I know Unix, and I'm not sure about Debian, but I believe that the base configuration includes Electrum Bitcoin Wallet. Now, of course, Electrum Bitcoin Wallet is an open source Bitcoin only wallet, but you can connect your Ledger device to the Electrum Bitcoin Wallet and use the security of the device to manage your Electrum Bitcoin Wallet. And that's like pre-installed in Linux. That's interesting, because you don't see any crypto stuff pre-installed in Windows, right? So, yeah, I mean, if you're into crypto and you're a capable person, there's a lot of software out there with Linux that you can use to manage crypto, including Ledger Live. So, yeah. I'm not enough letters. That's how you know it's not real. That's right. Yeah. So, yeah, we're almost to the end here, and I wanted to kind of cover this. Someone had posted in Reddit that they heard there was a problem with the ledger. I'm sorry. Let me start over. Someone posted in a Reddit in the Trezor subreddit that they had heard that there was a problem with the Trezor, the Trezor Safe 3 and 5. And then they had a link to an article that was kind of based on this ledger report. There was a lot of cutting and pasting from this article to that other article, but the article that the person in Reddit posted was a lot more alarmist. As it turns out, this is a report from March of last year, 2025, almost a year old. And I hadn't even been aware of this, but I had to do a little digging to find the original article. But this was posted by Ledger and talks about the Trezor Safe family. Trezor Safe 3 and 5 were released in late 24, I believe. Ledger, this is from the Ledger Donjon, which is the Ledger's specific department that all they do is hack wallets and look for vulnerabilities, physical hacking, right? They tear them apart. They go into the circuits and they try all the tricks, right? Voltage glitching or whatever they do to try to hack and get the secrets out, whether it's the seed phrase or the PIN. And they know the architecture of their devices and all the other devices. And they've been testing Trezor devices since day one. In fact, it was Ledger Donjon that revealed a lot of the vulnerabilities of early Trezor devices, and Trezor evolved their devices based on these reports. So basically, they're commending them for using secure elements, right? The original Trezor devices, the Trezor 1 and the Trezor T, did not use secure elements. They used microcontrollers, and they were open architecture, right? They prided themselves on that, and they allowed. They even posted the blueprints of the actual device, so that if you wanted to, you could build your own. I don't know that many people did that, but they were vulnerable to certain types of physical attacks. And so Ledger pointed this out, and Trezor had updated to Trezor Safe 3 and 5. After they're commending them that they're using secure element, but they're also saying that a lot of the operations on the devices are still being done on microcontroller and not in the secure element. If you're not aware, Ledger actually runs everything from the secure element. All the OS is run directly on the secure element chip, whereas a lot of other hardware wallets, Trezor included, will say, hey, we use an EAL6 Plus certified secure element chip. Well, they do, but they only use those for holding secrets, like a key. So, and that does a lot, right? It prevents a lot of tampering against, stealing the seed phrase or stealing the PIN. But there's a lot of other attacks that are more sophisticated that can be done on the microcontroller to circumvent a lot of the security of the secure element. They have a picture here of a Trezor device. And this is this helps you to understand how a lot of hardware wallets work. This is the secure element over here. This is their microcontroller. This is where all of their operations take place, the cryptographic signing operations. Now, I'm not saying that this is an insecure device. I'm saying that it is vulnerable to some advanced physical attacks. And, but ultimately, if your device is vulnerable to advanced physical attacks, you would want to harden up that security, because the as more and more people are using hardware devices, the chances of someone stealing your hardware device are going to be pretty high. Thieves are breaking into houses looking for gold and jewels, but if they know you're a crypto user, then they might break into your house to steal your device, and you want your device to be resistant to physical tampering. So a lot of the operations are taking place on the microcontroller. So the idea here is that, well, I want to get too far into it, but I just want to say that the poster on Reddit was incorrect in saying that he wasn't sure he wanted to buy a Trezor Safe 5 because of this particular article that was, copy and pasted into some other website. They say that the Trezor Safe 5 solves all the issues that they talk about in this article, right? So it was only the Trezor Safe 3 that suffered from these vulnerabilities, and that the Trezor Safe 5 addressed them. Not to mention the fact that they even address some of these issues with Trezor Suite updates. So I know this is a lot to swallow, right? I understand that, this is all complicated stuff. And I just want to point out that these are all physical attacks, right? These are not remote attacks. Your device will keep your private key safe and secure when it's in your house, right? It is foolproof. It doesn't matter what brand you use. You can use Ledger, Trezor, Tangem, OneKey, Descent, Cold Card, whatever brand you choose to use is fine if it's in your possession, right? There are no remote hacks out there. The risk is when someone gets their hands on your device, either before you get it or after you've loaded it with crypto. That's why we want to focus on a device that is tamper-proof. Now, a lot of people in the subreddit were marginalizing this article and saying, oh, these are very specific attacks and that hardly ever happens and all that kind of stuff. And it's Ledger just casting shade on Trezor. Well, I tend to disagree with that. This article talks about what the donjon is, and it's there not only to test Ledger products, but also other brands. And if you look at the history of the donjon, as I mentioned earlier, they tested Trezor products. They found the vulnerability. They reported it to Trezor, and they give Trezor a certain amount of time to come up with a countermeasure. So they're helping other brands by letting them know, hey, there's a vulnerability that we've discovered. And of course, after a certain amount of time, they make it public so people will know. And this keeps everybody on their toes. So that's why Trezor has been evolving over the years. And that's why almost every crypto hardware wallet uses secure element chips. That is the gold standard of security. Secure element chips are like the little chip in your credit card or your passport or your ATM card, right? There are several companies that manufacture these chips. They've been doing this for 40 years. This is tested technology. They've invested billions in this technology, and the main focus of secure element chips is tamper resistance. So you don't want a hacker or some guy in his basement taking an ATM card apart and opening up that chip and figuring out how ATM cards work, right? So they're designed to be tamper-proof, and that's what Ledger based their device on. a secure element chip that is programmable. They don't use a microcontroller. I'm not saying that means that all the other wallets are bad because they use microcontrollers. I'm just saying that there's could be a risk if someone gets a hold of your device. Now, another huge, and I'll close with this because it's after 7. Another huge debate, and I'm going to do this in a video that I fell into on this subreddit, was over open source. Trezor has a commitment to open source, and they say that their devices are open source. But open source, first of all, is not a real good way, or it's not a good standard for security device. Now, I get it. Bitcoin is open source. Open source is great. Don't trust, verify is the mantra for people in crypto. But what they don't understand, or they don't want to understand, is that a crypto hardware wallet is a different animal. A crypto hardware wallet is, first and foremost, should be a security device, not like an open architecture thing. So it's not really a practical standard to apply open source to hardware wallets. That's what I'm trying to get at here. And many companies claim open source on their product pages. They say, hey, we're completely the world's first transparent auditable. That's not open, doesn't mean open source. But you'll get into these arguments with people on Reddit, and they'll say, Ledger is not open source, period. It sucks. Everybody else is better because they're all open source. Well, that's wrong. They are not open source. And the reason why is because the term open source, it applies to software. That's how it first came about. Open source software means that it's public, it's posted on GitHub, people can inspect the code, they can run it on their own computer, they can inspect the code, fix bugs, compile it, and run it all on their own computer and verify that it's working. They can also, another part of open source is that if code is open source, you can use it in your own projects without having to pay licensing fees. So it's free in that sense as well. But that was all around software, not hardware. Hardware wallets are security devices. And the difference between software being open source is that you can inspect the code, compile it, and run it, and see that it works. You can't do that with hardware. If Trezor has their, let's check it out. And I'm not bagging on Trezor here. I'm just using them as an example because we're just talking about them right now. But you can go on GitHub and look at the Trezor firmware, right? And it's all there, open source. But I can't take this firmware and compile it and run it on my own computer. The only way to test this open source firmware is to actually run it, compile it, and then write it onto a chip and see if that works, right? So I'm going to have to manufacture, prefab my own chip in order to test this open source firmware. So I'd have to trust my compiler. I don't have the resources to actually run this firmware by creating a chip and putting it on a chip and then testing it. I can do that with software, right? I can go to the Linux Debian open source page, inspect all the code, which of course I can't because that's hundreds and thousands of lines of code. But theoretically, I can run it on my own computer and test it and see that it works. I cannot do that with hardware, open source. I cannot do that with open source firmware. So that's problem number one, verification, or I just can't do it. The second problem that is closely related to this problem is that if I buy a crypto hardware wallet that has open source firmware, and then I go on their GitHub page and look at the open source firmware and say, oh, I don't see any bugs in there. It must be good. How do I know that the firmware that I'm inspecting on GitHub is actually the same thing that's running on my device? I don't. There's no way I could possibly know that. So we have, the use case is I can't prefab my own chips, and then we've got the verification problem. Now we also have a much, much deeper problem when it comes to claiming that a hardware device is open source. And that is that there is, even if a microcontroller is running open source firmware, that microcontroller itself, we're not even talking about secure elements here. We're talking about the microcontroller. And what are we doing here? Yeah, we're talking about the microcontroller itself. Bam, right there. That's the thing that's running the Trezor firmware. That microcontroller is manufactured somewhere. Trezor doesn't stamp these in their factory. They purchase these. These microcontrollers come with built-in code at the low level, like low-level libraries that allow Trezor to actually load their firmware on the device. That low-level library, those low-level libraries, and the OS software or firmware on the chip itself is closed source. So you've got this open source firmware running on top of a device that has closed source software on it. So it's not completely open source. And then, of course, the secure element chip is not open source either. This is proprietary software. This is proprietary firmware. It's IP by these giant chip manufacturers that have been making these security chips for 40 years, investing billions of dollars, that, all their chips run on credit cards and passports and in hardware wallets. These aren't open source. So even the chips that Ledger gets, they run their own firmware or OS on a secure element chip. There are aspects of that secure element chip that they don't even know because that's closed source stuff. They have libraries they can say, okay, load firmware, but how all that OS stuff underneath is actually working is they don't know that. So there's always that point of trust in hardware, right? Software is a different issue. I can inspect the code and compile it and run it on my own computer and verify it. Cannot do that with hardware. So to claim that open source hardware is better than closed source software, that's a moot point because there's no such thing as open source hardware. There's always a point where there's something you don't know about it. If I wanted to make a completely open source hardware wallet or secure element chip, and I had the firmware and I had all of the prefabs and the manufacturing stuff, all these tools that I can use to, stamp out a chip and, put the code on there and, burn it into the chip and all that stuff. If I wanted to do it on my own, hey, do I have an open source device because I've built it from scratch and prefabbed it myself? No. Why? Because all of those tools that I've used, that prefabber, the fabricator, all the stuff that you need to use, those are proprietary pieces of IP hardware that you use to actually create this so-called open source device. So you don't know how those work either. Okay, then I'd have to run out and figure out, or maybe build all my own devices that I could use for prefabbing my chip. But then in order to do that, I would need other tools that are not open source. So it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. There's no such thing as open source hardware. You can't, it is an unachievable concept, right? You cannot create an open source piece of hardware. So that's the huge debate that goes on, on Reddit. That's all about, oh, don't use Ledger, they're closed source. Trezor is open source. Cold Card is open source. No, they are not, because they use secure element chips that are not open source. And the low-level code, even on their microcontrollers, is not open source, even though it's running their open source firmware. So they're not open source. There's no such thing as a completely open source hardware device. Now, you can have a devotion to transparency, which is great, and auditability, that's great too. But to claim that your device is completely open source is misleading, even if you believe it, right? And it's turns out that it's like this big demarcation on Reddit that people all hate Ledger because they're closed source, but they are not completely closed source. They are 95% open source, just like all these other wallets claim. There's always going to be a little bit of closed source on a piece of hardware. That's just how it is. And so to claim that, all our devices are 100% open source is disingenuous. The Descent, which is a great hardware wallet, well, let me see if I can pull it up for you guys. I had the opportunity to interview their chief business officer. And they're out of Korea. Their wallet is completely closed source. They make no bones about it. They don't claim to be open source because they have a fingerprint reader, and this is proprietary technology. So this is a very popular wallet over in East Asia, and especially in Korea. As well, it should be. It's a great wallet, but it makes no bones about it. It doesn't claim to be open source. A lot of other wallets do. A devotion to open source. Open source software is great. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with open source. I'm just saying you can't do it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, here it is right here. Open source pioneer, don't trust, verify. Bam, see? They all want everyone to think, hey, we're open source. But they're not. Well, I'm sorry, let's do this. There's another one. Cold Card, this is a big one. A verifiable source code. Okay, yeah, verify the source code and build your own device. Now, some people have told me that, you can actually create your own Cold Card device. They give you all this stuff. But as I said, they can be close, but the underlying microcontrollers and secure element chips have elements of closed source code on there to make them functional. So I can verify the source code all day long, but I can't build my own. And even if I could, I'd be using tools that aren't open source. I think I've lost everybody. Oh, Dan is following the markets, and I've just talked right through the breaking of 91K. So that's good. I want to put this into a video without trying to bash any particular model. Every hardware wallet company has a commitment to being as open source as possible. Even Ledger, they claim to be 95% open source. Ledger Wallet is open source. All their apps are open source, but they don't claim to be 100% open source. And a lot of companies imply that they are when they're really not. Not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying I don't know what I'm saying. All I'm saying is there's no such thing as an open source hardware. That's how it is. I'd like to do this very succinctly in a quick video, but we'll see what happens. Start more come to BTC. Those thieves are probably also looking for copper because all the metal sites are completely out. That's funny, Fred. I like that. Yes, one thing about Reddit, they are alarmist and very opinionated, LOL. Yeah, I got into like this huge exchange with somebody over this issue, and he would not stop replying. To every time I posted a reply to his reply, he replied back with more, you're wrong, you're wrong. And after about 8 back and forth, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let you have the last word because nothing I can say is going to change your mind. I don't know why it is in our society we're so tribal about even in politics, you're either, you love Trump or you hate him. And if I'm at a dinner party and I bring up Trump and you find out that I'm a Trump lover, you won't talk to me anymore, or vice versa. It's just so horrible. We disagree over reality. We used to have differences of opinion. Now it's like this is real and this is not real, and you don't believe in what's real, and I do. So you're wrong and I'm right, and I'm not going to talk to you anymore. There's just this huge, divide, and along a whole bunch of different lines, whether it's right, left, open source, closed source. Whatever it is, there's just this refusal to give an inch to anybody's point of view if they disagree with you. It's so sad. But anyway, let's see. What else did I want to talk about? Well, since you're all here and we're hanging out, I did want to talk about Jamu tonight. Jamu? What is he talking about? Let me see if I got it. Okay, this is a guy, his YouTube site, I guess he travels a lot, but the ones that I pulled up this is him drinking Jamu, and he's drinking Jamu in Jakarta. Jamu is like the herbal remedy of Indonesia. And you can get it at stands. It looks like he's at a Jamu stand because you can see that little backdrop there. But this is what a real Jamu lady looks like. She's got this basket with all these bottles. Now, real Jamu ladies use glass and they use banana leaves to stop the bottles. I think I have a picture of that somewhere. But I can't run the video or I'll get a copyright strike. But this is the way Jamu ladies walk around with this, this cloth batik sling that they carry this basket in. And then if you flag her down, she'll sit down and she'll whip you up Jamu based on what you need. My stomach problems, health problems, whatever. There's all kinds of different Jamu. So this is like a Jamu lady in Indonesia. And when I was in Indonesia, I lived there for like 2.5 years. When I was teaching English abroad, I loved chasing down these Jamu ladies and having them mix up some Jamu for me. And let me see if I think I had some other pictures. Yeah, this is me talking to people about, let me see if I can find, okay, yeah. So there's 2 different types of Jamu. Is interesting. I mean, there are ways that you can get Jamu. There are Jamu stands. Now this picture over here is, that's like a high level Jamu stand. I mean, that looks like he's in a building, actually. A Jamu stand, a real Jamu stand, is like on the street at night, and it's run by men. And you go there, and they'll serve you up some Jamu at the counter, and they give you a precursor, like a bitter thing to drink, and then they give you the Jamu because it's real spicy, and then they give you a chaser after. But during the day is when the Jamu, well, this is some Jamu here. You'll catch these Jamu ladies. Yeah. There's one. That's perfect right there. That one, this one, they're walking around all over the place. I think here's a pretty good Jamu lady. Notice they're always wearing the batik, right? So it's pretty cool. I loved playing around with Jamu. So I have my own Jamu that I make here in the U.S. I don't know how I got that. Yeah, that's a great picture of a Jamu lady. Sometimes you'll see them walking together. But anyway, in the morning, I make Jamu, and I think I want to turn off the sound on this video here real quick. Well, maybe I'll put it up a little bit. This is, I use ginger and turmeric. Fresh. I like to get fresh ginger and turmeric. These are the best ones. You come in a little further. I like to peel them. I don't know, you probably could just put them in the food processor without peeling them, but I like to peel them. Definitely you want to wear surgical gloves because this turmeric is going to stain your fingers. So don't make that mistake. And I take turmeric and ginger, put it in my food processor, and then I strain it. And then after that, I put it in a bottle. Let me see if I can. Where did that go? Where did it go? Did it open or not? Oh, there it is. I'm just going to pause these. So, oh, come on now. But now we've got our gorgeous lemon juice with pulp. Oh, come on. All right, now okay. The next step. All right, so I do lemon juice, and this video is not playing right for me. Uh-oh. And I'm done with my knife. And all right, now for added aloe. It's not that expensive. It would be. Now notice here all of the sediment on the bottom. So that's my turmeric and ginger. So I mix it with lemon juice, aloe, and V8 juice in the morning. And then drink it down. I don't know. It's got. I think would have been the end, and I would top it with some V8. But over the years, I've started to add. Well, this video isn't playing the way I'd hope. But anyway, I just thought you might find that interesting. It's not Jamu per se. It doesn't have tamarind, but the two big ingredients for Jamu are ginger and turmeric. And then they mix it with honey and stuff like that. But that's my daily thing. I wake up with lemon juice and ginger and turmeric and a little bit of V8 juice. And it's not Western. Western is, I feel bad, take a pill, right? This is long term, right? You do this on a daily basis. It's good for your digestion. It's good for all kinds of stuff. Your immunity. I don't get sick. I don't know. I get sick occasionally, but I haven't been sick in like 3 years. Even when my family gets sick, but anyway, I peel the turmeric. Yeah. It's kind of a pain, to peel and the reason I use so much, is because after I've, ground it and drained it, mixed it with water, I put it in containers and freeze it so that I don't have to grind turmeric and ginger every week. I can usually make a batch last for 6 months. I'll put that in, I'll fill that bottle up, and then I'll have some other containers with covers that I put in the freezer. And that's why I use so much. Yeah. I don't put it all together in one. But anyway, just thought I'd try something different on the channel. I had my wife follow me around with my camera. Yeah. Yeah, I don't drink coffee anymore. I used to be a big coffee head. I drink like 3 or 4 cups of black coffee in the morning and then, 2 or 3 lattes during the day. And I just decided that, it's time to jump off that caffeine train. So yeah, this is my thing. And then I drink herbal tea. I like Tulsi tea. So yeah, don't drink, don't do caffeine. And now I'm trying to cut out sugar. But I've always done this like, home Jamu thing. But interesting. So yeah, I think that's all the stuff I wanted to talk about. It's 7:30. I hope you guys have a great brand new year. It looks like Bitcoin, according to Dan, is taking off, right? That's good. Where are we at now? Come on, baby. Yeah, and hopefully this time we'll see an alt season, right? There's Bitcoin, 91. Hooray! Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, you do have to kind of hold your breath when you down it. Yeah, and then have some cold water after. Yeah. Yeah, in Indonesia, like when you go to those stands, they give you like first they give you the bitters to kind of get your mouth ready, and then they give you the jamu, and then they give you a chaser that's got like a little bit of palm wine and honey and whatever to chase it down with. It's a V8 engine. That's good. That's good, Fred. I hope you're using your Tangent Stealth card, Fred. Congrats again on that. See if I can get my hands on some new wallets. I've got that new wallet coming here probably in the next week or so. I'll do a review of that. I can't remember the name of it, but it's got a e-ink display. So I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, hanging out and listening to stuff about my personal life. I hope that I didn't rant too long about the open source versus closed source demarcation line in crypto, but I feel pretty strongly. I've been at this a long time. I want to thank everyone that came tonight. Thank you, Kenny, so much for the news. Thank you, Dustin and Shadow, for gifting a membership. Really awesome of you. Thank you, Dan, for moderating and answering questions that I missed while I was ranting away. Dan's always here to help people that are in the chat window. Thank you, everyone that asked questions. If I did not get to your question, please shoot me an email. My email is down at the bottom of the description, thecryptodad@gmail.com. Be happy to answer your questions through email. If you have a burning question, you've got an issue with your device or the Ledger software or whatever it happens to be, please shoot me an email. I'd love to help you out. I'll be here again next Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me again for the live stream from Michigan, where you can throw out questions and I'll do my best to get them answered. Hope to see you there. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. When you subscribe, there's a little bell that you can click that will allow you to be alerted whenever I post new content. Once again, thanks for joining me and hope to see you all again soon. Good night, everybody. Have a great new year, and let's keep our fingers crossed on the Bitcoin market this year.